Hi all, this is Tony here, and in this very quick video I'm going to explain why civilians do need assault rifles. A lot of people that are anti-gun will commonly say, if you're not a soldier at war, you don't need an assault rifle. And I'm going to explain why civilians do need assault rifles. But let me give you two quick disclaimers. Number one, the Bible says in Psalm 11, "But the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth." God hates mass murderers. God hates serial killers. God finds that stuff disgusting, and that stuff is an abomination in his sight. God is against it, and I am against it. But guess what? A lot of people who say that civilians should not own assault rifles, their main argument is because what if that civilian murders a lot of people? But these same people who are against the civilian owning the assault rifle, a lot of them support abortion, which is a lot of people being murdered every day. God is against mass murder, whether it's done with a gun or forceps. God is against murder, period. And so if you're against murder, you need to be consistent with your logic, okay? I just want to let you know that. Now, the second disclaimer is this. I don't own a rifle. I've never owned a rifle. I didn't even grow up around rifles. I grew up in Washington, D.C., which is one of the most anti-gun places in this country. I didn't grow up around family and law enforcement or the military. I had never even had exposure to these things. But when I got older, I chose to educate myself. I didn't want to just be one of those people, oh, I play Call of Duty, therefore I'm an expert on this. No, I actually chose to educate myself, have conversations with current and former law enforcement officers and with former men in uniform, like, soldiers in the military. And I chose to actually educate myself on the nature of these weapons. And I'm going to explain very briefly some good reasons why a civilian does need an assault rifle. Now, let me tell you what the word assault rifle even means. It's a made-up word. It's not a real term. It's what the newspapers and the television made up to classify all guns that look scary. But typically when you hear the phrase assault rifle, what you're picturing in your mind is a black rifle that is accurate at medium and long range and accepts a detachable magazine that takes 15 or more rounds. When people hear that, that's what they think of when they hear the phrase assault rifle. Now, I'm going to explain to you why a civilian does need something like that. Now, first of all, if you're under attack by an organized crime, then you're going to need a high capacity magazine. I have seen footage online, look it up, don't just take my word for it, of gangs breaking into people's houses or multiple robbers, both armed with weapons, or all 3 or 4 or 5 of them armed with weapons that try to rob a store and murder people. And if you're fighting an organized criminal group where multiple people are armed, that little revolver, that 6-shooter may not be enough. There's footage of times where multiple people broke into someone's home, and because they had a gun with a large capacity of bullets, they were able to stay in the fight longer, get those follow-up shots, and drive off the bad guys. And that is what you want if you need to keep yourself safe from multiple attackers. There are people who say, oh, well, all you need is just a little pistol and that's it. Don't get me wrong, a pistol can be useful, but if you're under attack by a lot of people that are armed, you're going to need something a little bigger than that. The second scenario where a civilian would need one is, what if you're under attack by a criminal at long range? DC Sniper is a perfect example of this. How much quicker would that story have ended if you had some good folks in DC with long range rifles who could have taken him out after he started shooting people? Less people might have died that way. Another scenario is civil unrest. Here's an example of this, the LA riots. I saw a testimony of an Asian man testified of the need of large capacity magazines because he was talking about how Asian shopkeepers in California needed large capacity magazines to defend their homes and their stores from the hordes of attackers during the riots that were going to attack them, loot them, and steal their stuff and try to harm them. And so that nice neighborhood that you live in, if there's enough civil unrest or if there's a natural disaster, think about Hurricane Katrina as a more recent example where you had hordes of people looting and pillaging. If your neighborhood suddenly turns into a war zone, then you are a soldier at war and you do need a soldier's weapon. That's the thing, folks. Cops, a lot of them are very good at their job. Cops, a lot of them are very smart, very athletic, very accurate, but guess what? At the end of the day, folks, cops are not God. They cannot be all places at once. They are not omnipresent. Sometimes the civilian will need to step up and respond before the cop can even get there. And guess what? If you as a civilian take out the bad guy or drive off the bad guy before the cop gets there, then you just saved that cop's life, because that cop doesn't have to put his life on the line to protect you, because that cop has a wife and kids. He needs to go home to his family too. And so if you're able to get the job done and all the cop has to do is take a police report and start an investigation, that's so much better than the cop having to die too because you couldn't stop the bad guy. So just think about that the next time you say a civilian doesn't need an assault rifle. Here's another example. Under attack from an animal. You live out in the woods or you live in a more rural area and a bear attacks you. A 9mm, a .22, a 6-shooter may not necessarily get the job done. You see, one of the things, rifles tend to be long, their barrel tends to be longer, and the barrel also is carved in such a way that puts spin on the bullet when it comes out. It's called a rifled barrel. That allows the gun to shoot more accurately, have a longer distance that it can shoot, and the bullet a lot of times will come out faster. That way it builds up that muzzle velocity. That can actually penetrate an animal. I mean, if you have a 9mm pistol and a bear attacks you, good luck, because you might need something a little more powerful. So these are all some very good reasons why a civilian would need an assault rifle. Let me just review. Under attack by multiple people, that's a tactical situation. Under attack by gangs or hordes or people in civil unrest looting. Basically, your home becomes a war zone. So under attack by organized crime, an area that's suddenly become a war zone, or under attack by someone at long distance, or under attack by a dangerous animal. These are all good reasons why civilians should own assault rifles. For those of you who say that they're against civilians owning assault rifles, I hope I have made you think, because guess what? It could be your life on the line someday, and I would hope that you would be able to defend yourself. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.